the Noble Audio Night. Let's talk about it. Now, this is a single dynamic driver, one Sonian BA IEM from a American company, Noble Knight. This is a sample sent out to me by Noble. Huge thing. Shout out to them for sending this out. And let's start by talking about the build quality of this beautiful IEM. First, let's look at the shell. The shell is magnificent. It's a little bit large, but it fits me well in ear, and I actually really like it. It's like metallic, it feels durable, it feels well made, and I don't really have any fault with it. It does have a slightly wide kind of base, a little bit of a wide nozzle, but all in all, I think this is a nice IEM shell with a beautiful faceplate, and it holds ear tips on it really well. Slightly recessed 2-pin cable connector, and just all around solid IEM and great build quality at this price or at any price. Fantastic cable, right red, left blue, nice little ear hooks, black shimmery cable. I mean, it looks and feels good. The chin slider stays in place. The Y split kind of has a unique look to it that I like a lot. The cable itself stays in place and it kind of looks and feels good. It feels shimmery and nice on skin, and it terminates in a 4.4 beautiful termination. Great quality plugs. The case is not super exciting, but it kind of looks like this. It's just a little pouch. The tip case is really nice. It holds multiple sets of tips. It looks really pretty. It fits kind of that Noble theme. And so the tip case, carrying case, is a really nice touch. And I like things that are thematic and work together cohesively. There's also a cleaning brush. So there you go. So how does this IEM sound? It's a very good and interesting sounding IEM that is a mid-bassy, energetic set. Now, it has a few peaks that some people might not like, but overall I feel like it has good detail, it has good bass when it hits, and it's kind of a mid-bassy style set. It has great build quality, a great cable, and a beautiful shell, but I think its tuning may or may not be for people. We're going to talk about a few IEMs, do a few comparisons, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, let's look at the Noble Knight graph. You'll notice a lot of mid-bass and kind of a different treble approach. I find myself a little bit sensitive to this 5K peak, which I feel like a lot of people are. And if I was to give any advice to Noble, my advice would be to kind of, I don't know, bring this back a little bit. It's possible it will or won't hit you in ear, but it is a little bit much for my taste personally, but it's not bad. The treble is a little bit laid back as well, but it's overall a nice kind of smooth laid back sort of tuning. Let's look at a few IEMs that this reminds me of, and the first one we're going to talk about is the Noble Chronicle. And this one is discontinued. It is one of their recent flagships. It is a $6,000 product. I really like the Noble Chronicle. I've got a chance to listen to it multiple times, and it wows me in that it has really wide soundstage, great detail. It's never too shouty. It's never too much bass. It's just a nice, gradual presentation of an IEM that feels silky and smooth and never irritable to my ear. It's a fantastic IEM, but they don't really share a lot of things. Like the Chronicle has a little bit less energy through here, a little bit more 8K, a little bit better treble extension, a little bit different approach to the lower mid-range and bass. I think, the Chronicle is a little bit maybe for bass heads and a little bit more traditional, whereas the Noble Knight has a little bit more of that sub bass. And, the Chronicle is a better set. Is it worth the $6,000? I mean, is anything worth it past, the Chew 2, but I do think the Chronicle is a very strong set. So it's something you might want to consider if that's what you're looking for. The next one I want to show you is the Soft Ears Volume S. Now, the Volume S is something where I feel like these two are kind of similar to each other in certain ways. Like if this 5K peak doesn't bother you, I think the mid-range and the bass presentation is kind of in that same regard, where you might really like the Noble Audio Night a lot. I do think the Volume S is the better way to go. But the shell and the Noble Knight's a lot better. If you're an EQer and you can EQ this down, I definitely go with the Knight, because just like the cable on the Volume S, there's a lot of faults to the Volume S, but all around it's like low impedance standpoint is really nice, but then if you use it on a high impedance amp, it's going to get screwy. So I don't know. The Volume S is like 320, and I do think the Volume S would get my pick. But the Audio Night has a lot of appeal to it, and I do think it has a nice kind of detail-focused mid-rangey set, which you don't see very often, so it's kind of a nice to try something different. I wanted to show something from Chi-Fi, like the SIMGOT EM6L. You'll notice it has a ton of energy up here, so while it does kind of have a little bit of that 5K energy, it might be something that doesn't bother you, and so it might really work for you depending on your preference. I wanted to show you the Rhapsodigo Return. This kind of reminded me a little bit of that, but with the Noble Knight, you have a lot more mid-bass. The treble response is a lot lower, and like I feel like the Noble Audio Knight, for people that are looking for that kind of slightly lower sub-bass, a little bit more mid-bass presentation, are really going to like it, because it doesn't ever get too shouty. It doesn't have a lot of excess peak. Like, it doesn't really go that far past the target curve, which is a really nice thing to have. So it's not like a shouty IEM. It's just kind of a different approach to IEM, but it's not going to be like the general market appeal for most people. But you might like it, because especially if you're a mid-focus lover of IEMs like the Volume S. We look at stuff like the Civica Q, reminding me a little bit of. We normalize this at 500, and you notice, like, again, like this slightly lower bass, slightly lower upper mids kind of really works for me, because like something like the Civica Q is kind of a nice fun set, but it could get really bright and energetic, especially around that 5-6K. It's a fun, vibrant set, but it can become too much, as it's not as flat leaning as we might want it to be. And you know, an Audio Night, while it's not the best set out there, it does do a different approach that a lot of people are looking for. They're looking for something different, and I think it's something strongly to consider. This reminds me a lot of the Bass and Metallans. Like, I've reviewed a bunch of their sets. Like, you look at the Metallan. The Metallan is also kind of a mid-bassy set, but it's also kind of recessed around this, like, not 800. So if we normalize this around, you know, 900, what you'll notice is like this just becomes super mid-bassy and kind of a warm presentation. So this one's not nearly as mid-bassy. If you look at something like the Mix PD, this one was kind of what I considered to be a nice presentation of warm, and I kind of dug it, and I think it's only $75. So there's other presentations that are kind of this warm set. If you're looking for something warm, probably the Bass and Mix PD would get my vote. And then you got like the Metallan, which I did not think it was that great. Just had a lot of treble, a lot of emphasis, and very kind of old style V-shaped, and I feel like it was just too warm of approach. But if you notice, the Noble Knight just kind of has this slightly more flat approach, and it's kind of a gentle rise right around, you know, like 350. So it's a little bit of an early rise, but it works on this mid-bass style presentation. There's other sets out there that I think are warm sets, and it's hard to find good warm presented sets. Like, a lot of people try, but not very many people have really pulled that off. Something like the Tipsy Dumber Pro. I like the Tipsy Dumber Pro, but what you'll notice is like all this treble is significantly dialed down in this presence and upper treble region, and I think that like the Noble Knight really knocks it out of the park and really becomes a better set because of that. For some reason, like some of these spikes, this 5K peak reminded me of the Manchaca. Manchaca didn't really work for me. The Audio Night in a similar stance kind of doesn't work as much as I like. Like, I don't think it's the best value at 300. Like, I kind of would recommend, if you're in the market for a TWS, to look at their Noble Rex line. That's only a little bit more, and it is a really nice TWS that fits really well. I have a review up for that up on channel, and it's one of my favorite Noble products, and it's one of my favorite TWS at pretty much any price. again, you have to know what areas you're sensitive to, and if this 5K peak is something you're not liking, it can kind of ruin an all-around decent IEM, and because of that. Personally, I would try this EQ. I EQ it to my target, which adds a significant amount of sub bass, kind of rounds out this presence region, kind of lowers the mid treble like spikes we have, and adds a little bit of air and detail. And it really kind of helps fix a few things for me. It's a little bit more of kind of like a U-shaped presentation. All right, the Noble Audio Night. Let's rank this guy up. I do think the sub bass is a little bit lacking, but again, it's a mid-focus set with its mids and highs being okay and like all around a nice presentation, but not as pristine and clean as we want. It does have good drivers, and so you will hear good detail and sparkle and air. The soundstage to me is really nice. The note weight isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. The drivers they're using is really good. I just wish the tuning was changed just a little bit. You know, this is an interesting set in the market. I think it's a solid set that I think a lot of people are going to like, but a lot of people might want to demo it first. Noble is really good about going to a lot of can jams, and I know headphones.com holds their stuff and they have good return policies. As far as this IEM goes, I think it is absolutely beautiful with great build quality and a great cable. Its tuning philosophy isn't something that I personally think is just absolutely fantastic, but I hear good detail. I hear good quality of an IEM with a slight different tuning that isn't exactly what I personally would gravitate towards. I think people that like a mid-present set might really like this, and they might really find this to be one of their favorite IEMs, because I don't really know of anything like this on the market, and I think it has a unique place on the market, especially for collectors, especially for people that really like Noble and would like to try one of their IEMs that don't want to pay big money for it. I think this IEM holds a great deal of appeal. But with anything over, say, $200, I recommend you to buy it from a store with a good return policy, or to demo it first at a can jam. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris, or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Go!
Go.
Go on with you!